Thank you for listening to that nice T-Mobile ad at the beginning of the pod. Now here we are.
Is it always T-Mobile?
It's never T-Mobile, except for when one time it was.
Okay.
Welcome back to another episode of Antics. We back. I'm here with Paul Jin once again. We started off from with the old other time we've seen some Paul Jin antics is when we were talking with Mr. Bristol about when we got kicked out of our government class for talking about climate change too much because our opinions are too spicy and good. We have the best opinions. Our opinions are huge. They're great. And let's get into it.
Okay.
So, where do we want to start? I'm thinking drugs. Not personal use. Because that would get a little too personal.
Okay.
Winky face emoji. But the America, like what's the stat about how many freaking people die every year of opioids? Like, okay, because the deal is, it's like,
I think the number was 70,000 deaths for heroin deaths.
Something crazy, dude. Something insane.
I don't think it's 700,000. I feel like it's 70.
Let me check. Opioid death statistics.
Let's check.
But while I'm looking this up, my point is, it's like, if these are the things that are causing 70,000 in 2017.
I was right. Okay, cool.
So if these are the things that are really putting a damper in our life as humans in the United States, right? It's a problem. We recognize it's a problem. Now it's weird to say, but why do we focus so much media time? Or why do people focus, just as society, on these events
spontaneous
school
events.
shootings and stuff like that, you know? What's why can't we put more media time?
I think the answer is pretty simple. It's you have to think about everyone as rational actors. You have to think about why people watch the news.
Yeah.
Why the news broadcasters broadcast the news that they do. What's newsworthy. Whether there's a shock factor, whether the paper can sell, the headlines, do they attract eyeballs, right?
I think the media it's just corrupt just by nature. The fact that they have to make money, you know?
And not even that. If you think about the owners of these media companies, who they are.
The Jews.
I'm not sure that they're all Jews.
I don't think they're all Jews, but a good amount of them
but
are
there are
Jews.
a lot of, for example, the Washington Post, CNN, all owned by billionaires, I think.
Yeah.
If you look at the affiliations, the board members, they tend to support their friends.
Yeah.
And big corporations have a lot of friends.
Especially the good old NRA. The NRA loves to support their friends.
Yeah?
Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
It's so media, right? If their whole deal is to make money and make these billionaires bigger billionaires, then it's
I think it's to be in control of perception. To be in control of what people are aware of, what people are worrying about.
So we can say that even because there's so much free expression on Twitter and all these other blogs, there's so many news sites now, it's so watered down. There's probably people in this world that only get their news from BuzzFeed, or only get their news from one source. And I feel that's very dangerous to them. And even if the general public, probably the half the country gets their news only.
Well, what kind of news sites do you use?
None.
Really?
Dude, I don't when I'm at my grandparents' house, they'll have MSNBC on. And that'll just but any news, I just don't like looking at it because it's all bad. It's all bad and it makes me sad.
You should look at more government-sponsored news.
Government-sponsored
I think it's very interesting to look at the kind of message that different governments and different powers are trying to spread to the public.
I see. What's the news in China? How did is it a lot of censorship?
We can start with China. I think there's a few media companies that are either directly state-owned or have influence. People's Daily, Global Times,
Is most of it government owned, or is it mostly?
You know, I'm not too sure about that statistic, but I know a lot of the big ones are. But there is regulation in place for all news outlets, anyways.
Okay.
But what was even my point, Cameron?
I don't know. What's to do with like freedom of speech?
Oh, you were asking about news censorship, weren't you?
Yeah. Like, because freedom of speech is not really free, as we can.
They definitely spread a lot of messages that the government wants to spread. Like if there's an announcement from the party, from the president, or a reaction, for example, to the NBA controversies recently, they'll do that through these news companies. The U.S. has their own. U.S. has a lot of their own government-backed and state-owned media companies.
What are those?
VOA for.
VOA.
There's a few others. Russia has them. Russia Times, I think.
Damn, bro.
Is it Qatar? I think it was. I don't remember exactly a country in the Middle East that runs Al Jazeera. I can't pronounce it correctly, but different news sites, and they report on the same things very differently. It's very interesting to look at the differences in opinion.
You want to know what's super fun?
What?
Is when I very vividly remember this. Is when you look at each news company. I'm going back to the U.S. Is that when you look at like the presidential election, when like those get televised, and then you see like each of the commentators like own each of the media's, each type of media's like commentary on it.
Right.
So like.
Right, the factions.
Yeah, dude. So.
You know, I was thinking the other day whether or not you could, in some shape or form, create a perfectly unbiased news source, like by AI or by machinery or by what? How could you present?
I don't know. Could you
news that
could I think maybe because then the robots wouldn't. You could program it to not have the bias.
Because curation is a very important job in a lot of news agencies. For example, at Apple News, they curate the news that's shown on the Apple page. So there's actual people that pick the news articles that show up in front of your face, right? So these people are biased to show what they want to show and not show what they don't want to show. So how can you create something that can
make people unbiased?
Well, there's one which is, can you create unbiased news? And the second is, do people actually want unbiased news?
I don't think so. I think that Twitter has been a prime example of the lack of desire for unbiased news because, like, just because of how people are, they just don't like to see things that they don't like, you know? Like, we just read The Hate You Give in English, and, like...
That was a question on the Gov test.
What?
Polarization of social media.
What's that? I mean, well, I know what that is, but
the question about whether or not social media, there was a passage, I think, and one of the questions is, it's polarizing opinions of the public. Remember that?
Polarizing as in how?
As in Republicans see more conservative things, Democrats see more liberal things.
Yes. Did you watch the Crash Course videos?
I did. I watched all three.
Yeah, me too, where the guy was like, what just got me, it was so, such a simple statement, but he was just like, the conservative parents are going to make conservative babies. The liberal parents are going to make liberal babies. And it's like...
That video helped me on the question of whether or not America was happy after the 60s.
Yeah.
In the video.
But then you look at happiness. Paul, where do you define happiness as? Hold on, let me figure... Let's go back to that real quick. After, I say, it was Star in The Hate You Give... What the fuck was I saying? Before... Oh, nuts. Hold on. Let me pause it so I'm not embarrassingly... I decided against looking for it. But yeah, so Paul, how do you, what's better? A constant state of happiness? Of, mediocre happiness? Or, very high points of happiness? It's like a wave, you know? It's like, wow, and then you're like...
I'd say more roller coaster.
Roller coaster?
Highs and lows.
Highs and lows.
As opposed to...
constant
mediocrity, because in my understanding, it's you always normalize whatever the normal is. So if you're always at whatever that is, it just becomes nothing, and you're not feeling happy anymore or sad. I'd rather have a up and down lifestyle. It's more exciting.
I agree.
You can feel the happy, feel the sad, Feel happy, feel sad.
I'm liking what we're doing in psych with mindfulness. Did you enjoy that unit?
It was interesting, yeah.
Did you find yourself constantly just like thinking when we were trying to like sit still and just
definitely.
let go?
It was, especially for that second day, the 5-minute one.
Yeah.
To not doing anything, it was kind of difficult.
Really?
Because I'm always thinking.
Yeah. I get that too. I'm always thinking as well.
And
but in this past week, I've really been trying to like train my mind to just like.
But part of my mind is saying like, why? Part of my mind is saying like, why should
What's the purpose?
What's the purpose?
What's the purpose?
But then there's so many people who say there's a big benefit. So like.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something there.
Some smart peeps say that it's a smart benefit.
Yeah.
Like I thought
Steve Jobs went on like a very strange religious path for a while in his life.
Really?
An apple a day. I think very Buddhist. Very minimalist for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, those turtlenecks, man, they're really minimalist. I gotta say. They don't do it. They do something for him though. They get me going. Steve Jobs and his beautiful turtlenecks.
Beautiful mind.
Dude, what a guy. What can you tell me about Steve Jobs? Because my extent of my knowledge about Steve Jobs is that he was this dude that like was crazy smart with Steve Wozniak, and they were in a garage and they were like, how can we make computers for the public? And then they did it. That's my knowledge. And then he died of cancer. It was sad. What other Steve Jobs knowledge can you drop on me?
I think his legacy is worth more than probably anything he achieved. Like how he changed Silicon Valley culture.
What is Silicon Valley culture? Or sorry, let me get.
I don't think that's something you could even explain in words.
Yeah.
But yeah, during his life, I mean, very interesting guy with his daughter, with his wife. I don't actually remember if it was his wife, but the woman that he had a child with, his relationships with people, very strange guy, very erratic guy. With John Kelly, I believe, the CEO of Pepsi, brought him on board, and then they conspired to kick him out. So he re-entered the company when it wasn't doing that well, and brought it back to life. I don't know. He's able to tell us what we need before we know we need them.
Tell us what we know we need.
Tell us what we need before we know what we need.
We know what we need. Yeah, shoot, man. That's crazy.
Like, he knows what you want before you want it. Yeah. I think that's a better way of putting it.
Absolutely. Do you think smartphones would have been a thing? Like,
no,
much.
He created that.
Earlier.
You know, at the point, like, when it came out, everyone is like, that is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, for real.
How can you even type? You can't even send emails properly. Like, why would that ever be a direction where we'd go to? And other people, and Steve in the beginning saw that this could be the future of everything, of communication, of the replacement for the computer, for the PC.
Yeah. What year did he die?
Was it 2012?
I believe so. So that was when Twitter was already popping. Do you think that... So if he hadn't done that, would, say, these other smartphone companies like Samsung and the other... what is it? I forget.
OnePlus?
OnePlus, yes.
OnePlus,
Huawei. Would these other big giants, would they have
No, they all followed Apple's footsteps.
They all followed Apple's footsteps.
Well,
damn.
They just changed what Apple did.
But Mike, what I'm thinking about right now is just how, like, if Apple wasn't a thing, if they just never existed, if Steve Jobs' mom had gotten an abortion and he was never a person,
there could be an infinite possibility.
Right. Like, I know that's not the timeline we're living in.
Like, you could think that, like, it's possible that someone else invented something similar, or that a whole different pathway of innovation took place. And maybe instead of external electronic devices, we got really advanced, like, muscle implants, for example. Yeah. And that just became, like, muscle implant companies became the giant tech companies that we know of now today. Like the way things are don't have to be the way things are, I think.
The way things are don't have to be the way
Like,
things are.
You can change the future.
Yes, you gotta be the change that you want to see.
You have to be the one that changes the future.
Yes, because all you can control is yourself, right?
You can influence the world.
But all you can control is yourself. How can you influence the world? Like, what examples have we seen where it's like big time that these people are influencing the world?
I think just what you were talking about, Steve Jobs is influencing in the world. I think a lot of big philosophers.
With Bezos too, man.
I think
this is a scary, scary direction that we're looking at with e-commerce.
But comparatively, if you look, he isn't that.
Oh, compared to like all the other dudes. Like with Alibaba and stuff.
No. I mean like ancient philosophers, like Plato. Like how much has Plato affected our lives, the way our governments are, the way we live, the way the world is, the way countries are, compared to relatively.
I guess
how packages are shipped.
I mean, it's not really just how packages shipped. Like more people in America have Amazon Prime than like cable now.
Yeah, but all of Western civilization, in part, gives thanks to Greek philosophy.
You're right. You're very true. Very true. And this is just in the last 10 years, this has become exceedingly prevalent.
Amazon went public in '99, I think. Wait, did they? I feel like they did.
Probably.
Was it 97 or 99?
Something like that.
Yeah. And Greek philosophy has been there for thousands of years. Yes.
What the fuck? Are they both the 11s, or is this your old?
No, that's my 10.
Stupid 10.
Yeah.
What do you think about the 11?
Camera's nice.
Camera's nice.
The wide angle is pretty cool.
Ooh, my girlfriend just got the 11 yesterday. It's
good for her.
It's pretty cool.
Good for her.
She was like. She was like doing these wild because it's like a fisheye, right?
Yeah. She has the same the new camera that I have is the same camera that she just got. She doesn't have the zoom one, which I find pretty useless.
What?
She has the wide angle and the normal, but she doesn't have.
There's 3. Wait, what?
I have 3. Does she have 3?
Yeah.
You mean the 11 Pro then? Because the iPhone 11 only has 2.
Really?
Yes.
Well, then I guess she's got the Pro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's some crazy kind of like. Why do we need 3 little lenses?
It's just a fad, I think. It's just like a trend. Like, that's what people are competing against now, phone companies.
I guess so.
Samsung
it looks kind of stupid, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to get used to it? Because we thought, like, the no home button looked stupid, and then, like, people are used to it.
Yeah. Under fingerprint displays.
Are you sussed out at all by, like, the facial data? Because, I don't know, I feel like we're kind of living in, like, you seen Terminator?
Yeah.
I feel like we're living in like a Skynet era now, where it's like if anybody wanted to, if the government wanted to, they could just like go on the satellite and like scan for our face and
I
just,
think
like,
that's
zoom in on us.
That's been the direction society's been heading for a long time.
With a complete lack of privacy.
Yeah, this has. I think we've known that this will be the future for a long time already, and if we're looking at it now, then definitely yes, it's coming in the near future, where all people will be under this kind of surveillance.
Ugh. Tell me about the Chinese movie theaters. So, or just like the Chinese like anything. Because how often do you go to China?
A lot. Once every other month, every other week.
A good amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
You saw my passport.
Yes, quite a bit.
A lot of stamps.
A lot of stamps. So what is it like the facial? Because you said it's very, very like a lot of facial recognition is used very widely, right? Like in like movie theaters and like grocery stores.
In every
aspect.
And I heard a statistic that there was 200 million cameras.
Holy
I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe I'm off by.
So
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I have no idea, but it's.
So are they essentially? Is that basically a police state or like what? Like.
So the cameras can be installed either by state-owned companies or police, or it can be installed by like private use. But that's usually either directly connected or indirectly connected to police networks.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the authorities have jurisdiction to access any camera.
So they.
And if
That
they don't
feels like a
explicitly do, then I believe they manage to.
I see. That seems a little. I guess I wouldn't know because I guess it works, right? It's positive in some ways.
I think it's a different kind of people with a different set of values, very different government, very different relationship between the people and the government.
Yeah, what's their relationship between the people and the government? Because ours is just like people in his Twitter comments.
I think these things are very difficult to describe. I think if I had a good answer for what kind of government China is, that'd be very impressive. I don't think I do, actually. Yeah.
Because it's just so complex.
Like these things are so complex.
Yeah.
You have to look at so many qualities.
I thought it was very interesting what you said, where it's like it's the most socialist yet most capitalist.
Yes.
Or what did you say? What was that?
Most socialist, most
capitalist, most communist,
most democratic.
Most democratic.
Yeah, most authoritarian.
Authoritarian. Yeah, because like, what do you think about do you think that they're justified in their censorship of no dissent, or
like,
what is the word, dissent?
I think
the government.
Always on the other side you use the word censorship. On the Chinese side,
what do they say?
Anything that's blocked here is censorship. When any country comments on other governments' blocking of things, it's censorship.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that word itself is biased.
It kind of has negative connotations. Yeah.
But you're talking about like them banning these things. Like, is it good? Is that the question?
Yeah, is it? I mean, what I watched the Patriot Act when Hassan Minhaj was talking about it.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, it's a good show. And so he was just talking about how it was like, it was an interview with some Chinese people, and they were like, if we're not committing a crime, we don't care. So it's like,
I think a lot of people like it. I think a lot of people like it. The majority of people benefit from it
safe,
and like
right?
it. Yeah.
That's good.
I think.
But they're very against any protests. Like.
Yes.
Very, very.
It's not. Like in the culture to protest. Like that's not how.
Like that's just.
Chinese people deal with it.
So how do you go about
changing? Change
anything. Changing government's mind, getting your voice out there. How do you go about that? You just don't?
You can become part of them. Change from within.
Change from within?
You can work with them. You can compromise. You can find what they want, find what you want, align your interests.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can never say I'm an expert on this, but if you just look at what happens, right? China has been changing. So no matter how the complex mechanics work, at least in this case, it's been somewhat successful. China has kept with the times. China has celebrated 70 years since October 1st of independence, and within these years
of independence.
Yes.
I thought they've been like a country for like super long.
China has, as a civilization, has existed continuously for 5,000 years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But the current government.
The
People's
so
Republic
they haven't
of China.
had an uprising in 70 years.
They haven't had a
change in government.
A change in government in 70 years.
That's good. Good for China. That's some good stuff.
But like in the short time, like the world has changed a lot, and China has changed a lot.
Yeah.
From how it was politically and economically from the beginning.
How much knowledge do you have on these Muslim camps that they're dealing with right now?
Oh damn! This topic is, there's a lot of opinions on it.
Yeah.
What is the question?
I don't know. So let me tell you what my knowledge is. There is these camps. I believe that they're immigrants. Are they immigrants?
No.
No. They're people that are in China.
The Muslims that are in China, I believe, are not immigrants.
So they're being taken by the government and forced labor in these camps in the western side of the country, and being harvested organs and stuff, and tortured and murdered.
Here's what I can say.
Okay.
I have been to Urumqi, this city, the provincial capital of that area, and there is a big population of Muslims there, and I believe that's where a lot of the issues are taking place.
Is it like a nativist thing, or is it just like a anti-Muslim thing?
Let me just explain my experiences.
Okay,
like
sure.
I was there. I was looking for a relatively famous mosque that I had heard of.
Oh yeah.
I cannot find it.
Huh. Why couldn't you find it?
I'm not too sure about that.
Do they have Google Maps in China?
We have a completely different map system and a different satellite system, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
So in China, they don't use GPS.
Oh, what do they use?
GPS is America's own global positioning system. Russia has GLONASS. Europe has their own, I forget. China has Beidou.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is it like an app that you have on your phone? Like right now?
It's like the same as Google Maps. It does.
Do you have a different phone that you take to China specifically because of like data plans and stuff?
No, I have a different SIM card.
SIM card. Ah, so you just go boop boop.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. So they use like it's not a GPS or GPS is only American.
Well, I mean, America provides.
What is GPS? Global Positioning System. So that's just.
It describes what it is, but it's also the proper noun for the program, for the system.
Okay.
So, like, all of these are global positioning systems.
Right.
But America's system is called the Global Positioning System, I think.
Just because we're cocky and we think that everything should be.
I believe the U.S. was the first one.
That's so weird. They call it a global positioning system, but it's not global.
It is global. Like,
I thought we just said that it's not global.
No. I'm not saying that it's not global. It is. There are a lot of satellites, 20-something, I believe. 24, maybe.
And do other countries use it?
Yes. Okay. The U.S. licenses other countries to use it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Or allows them to use it. And then there was some accident, I think, Japan, some flight that got lost or something.
Oh yeah, because then what do planes use?
Because
planes use GPS.
In the beginning, the U.S. had this technology only for the military.
Okay.
And there was no civilian access. I think save special requests. Yeah. There was an accident that could have been prevented by GPS. So, I don't remember which president, but an American president decided that it should be available for civilian use, and then a later president decided that there shouldn't be any changes in how accurate the positioning can be.
Okay.
But yeah, so for a while the American system was the only positioning system in the world.
Oh, and then other countries were like, we gotta make this us. Like, we can't be fucking with.
Because if you think
we can't put America's name on our things. We don't want to rely on those douchebags.
Because militarily, like, if you want to fight a war against the U.S. and you don't know where any of your teammates are, and they do, it's a big problem.
That is a big problem.
If they can fire their missiles, you can't fire yours. Mm-hmm. It's a big problem.
What do you think other countries' perception and like opinion of America is? Because when you go to China, do people know that you're American?
A lot of them do. A lot of them, not because they can tell, but because I explain. Because that's part of who I am. Right. Yeah.
Definitely. So then, like, what do you like?
Are you asking how Chinese people feel about America, or how international people feel?
Like, you've been to Europe, you've been to Ethiopia a few times.
I've been to Africa. I've been to Europe. I've been to China,
so you've been around, right? Yeah. And like, what do you feel? I guess it's different because how many languages do you speak, Paul? How many languages? Do you
Only two. Well,
two.
Chinese and Mandarin and English.
Okay, in English, most definitely. So then, when you go to Europe, they can tell you're a foreigner.
Of course, yes.
So, do you feel that there's like weird like treatment? Because I know in France they're kind of dickheads. So like anyone that like doesn't speak French.
Yeah, I heard that specifically. Yeah, I think inherently, if your skin color is different, there's always a small difference.
Yeah, man.
Like in how you're treated.
Like we wonder why there's no like racism in Denmark. It's because there's no black people, right? I bet if there were a few black people down there being slaves, they would probably be a little racist.
I think it's almost irrational to believe that, like, even though someone physically has such a different skin tone, like, you cannot see it. Or, like, have
like
or
colorblind.
make no
Like-
judgment ever about it, subconsciously or consciously.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you see a
definitely,
green blanket and a blue blanket,
So how can we train people to not have those instilled fear biases? Because of what we were talking about in my social justice class is like when you see a large black hooded figure at night, you are much more on edge, much more paranoid, much more freaked out than if you were to see like a hooded white, smaller like white dude, you know? And so it's like, that's like kind of like...
Wait, for the first one, did you explicitly say it was a black person?
Yeah, because it's black. Because then when you see a black person, there's just like the connotations because everything you see on the news are just like scary gangs and stuff, you know? Because like black men are in like cities are primarily like associated with gang culture and
I'm interested in philosophy.
Yes.
I want to major in it.
Definitely.
And I define myself as a realist, as a rationalist. I think to solve this problem most directly, it's just look at statistics and do what is best for yourself statistically.
Okay.
Like, don't irrationally do anything.
Yes, like I wouldn't just stab this into my arm for no reason. That would be irrational.
Be rational if like, for example, you know that some places are statistically unsafe, don't go there.
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I want to focus more on like the profiling aspect of it. Like how can you teach cops not to profile? Like in that sense, like where it's like
I think you have to teach cops how to recognize that they are profiling, and then
because if you think about it from a rational sense, profiling is a good thing, you know, because it's saving your life and it's saving the lives of others. Because you're making this quick.
If only red aliens attacked Earth and green aliens sent Earth gold and diamonds, and you saw a red alien, you wouldn't like red aliens.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. That'd be the rational thing.
But then to educate the people on Earth, you have to show them that there's like good red people and bad green people, right? Mm-hmm. I mean aliens.
Yes. There's good red aliens.
And then you have to know that in some scenarios you have to judge in a logical way. Yes.
Yes. So the goal is the solution is to find aliens.
No, the solution I believe is using that metaphor to teach them to recognize
that there are good. You just have to
recognize your own bias.
Yes.
And recognize in what scenarios and exactly how to compensate for that bias.
So how do they compensate for their bias?
Like, going to your example, you were talking. What did you say? What was the two
you're
people?
at night, and the difference is one of them is like a hooded white. It's nighttime. You're walking down the street. Like you're much more. If you're a white woman, and you're walking down the street, you're much more likely to cross the street to get away from a person if they're black compared to if they're white. We were talking about. That's just like what you consciously you subconsciously. That's just what you
If you were that person and you were about to walk across the sidewalk instinctively, I think you should think to yourself whether or not why you're doing that.
Yeah.
Is it rational? Is it true that this person has reason to make me feel unsafe?
Mm-hmm. But a lot of it's not is this person, because the person is just doing nothing. They're just walking, being large.
Then I think that at that time of reflection, the person should understand that the person hasn't done anything and should not cross the street because of nothing.
Yes, because that would be irrational. If you're just crossing the street because yeah. Okay, so Paul, why don't you think that police in our country get held accountable for the
I don't remember the name of the law, but there's a law for that specifically.
It's called I know what you're talking about. Hassan talked about it on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's called the
for police
Justified Probable Justification Act.
I don't remember the name, but yes, that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, if that there's a law that answers my question, but why is the law there?
I think it's to provide flexibility. I think we see a lot of the consequences of when this thing turns bad, when the law isn't used correctly.
Yes.
When it's used to justify sometimes like bad things done by some police that should be punished but aren't. But in a lot of other cases, good guys need to do bad things.
Good guys need to do bad things.
And
because for the greater good.
For the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Either the intention of the greater good or the consequence. But things like this would give flexibility for that.
I think that this increase in flexibility that the government...
Like, think about if cops were chasing people and couldn't run red lights.
Yeah.
Or, like, couldn't accidentally bump to a car.
Right. But then I feel that there's difference in the fact that there's, like, one of them is, like, to chase a criminal that's, like, doing that. But then I feel that there's a difference... Okay, so a statistic I looked at today, because I'm doing this project on police accountability, is that 84% of police that were surveyed in this study said that they witnessed a coworker using excessive force and said like nothing about it. There's like, excessive force meaning like using the video of Eric Garner, like that, like they've seen shit like that. 84% of cops.
You know, I think that's like a really sad statistic.
Yeah. I also saw that in murder cases, 1%.
Are we talking about if that's how we can improve that, or whether or not it's like?
We can improve it.
My first thought was, what are the rates for other countries?
That's a great question. I don't even like.
And like the intensity, like here in the U.S., like we think of police like beating someone. Or shooting one person.
We're afraid. We're very afraid.
Yeah, but like in some countries that never ever happens, and that's never a concern. And in some countries, police do much more than that.
So then, why is it such a concern in our country? Is it because of our racist roots?
What do you mean? We talk about police.
Why, in many African American circles, is the concept of getting pulled over like almost like it could be a possible death sentence? Why is that an issue in our country and not in many other countries?
Because I think there's a big African American population and a big white population here.
Yes.
And that's not true for most other countries. Most other countries
are pretty same.
Yeah, they don't have to.
Why is America so damn diverse?
Most other countries don't have to deal with this ratio of diversity.
Yeah.
In some countries.
So then when they don't have to deal with it, it's just like not something that they have to worry about.
You know, Brazil is extremely diverse.
Yes.
It's diverse to the point where there's. I'm not too
diverse
sure, but
in the sense of
there's not too much individuals.
Different nationalities or different skin colors.
Everything. And because there's not like a overwhelming majority of one or anything at all, it's like just all diverse. Mm-hmm. I hear that it's not much racism at all.
Very interesting. Wonder why that is. Because there's no majority.
I think so.
Even though in like here, like white people are definitely the majority. What do we got? Like 65%.
I don't know, man. And in some countries, it's like. In some Asian countries, it's like 99.999% Asian. Like, there's no race problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have to, like... So then if you threw, like...
But if that percentage changed to, like, suddenly 20% white people, 80% Asians, there's going to be a race problem.
I guess so. Why are humans, like, built like that? Why are our brains...
Tribalism, I'd say. Like
tribalism.
Like... Or associating to a group.
Yeah.
And demonizing
we love ourselves some good groups. Let's switch it up to friend groups, Paul. How important do you think a friend group is in life, in high school?
How important do I think?
Because our perspective is high school students, high school seniors.
How important?
We're about to leave everybody we know and find new groups. So how important to our well-being and like our mental state is these like friend groups that we've been socialized to just find?
I think the reality is a lot of these friend groups will fall apart quickly.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will never connect ever again.
Yeah, that's just a fact.
But the truth is, these friend groups are much more naive and true than the friend groups that people will ever have in the future.
Yeah.
Because the more people mature...
Because mostly it's going to be like work friend groups, and those are like solely because of like some shared common interest. With this, our shared interest is going to high school, but also so much more.
Not even like work friends, just friends that you have as adults. You consider and think about so much more. You think about if you're economically similar, if you're like socially similar. You think about so many complicated and disgusting aspects that you don't think about when you're 6 and you find a best friend because you just like him, right?
Yeah, there's nothing deeper.
Yeah, so these simple friendships, I think, should really be valued, even though they a lot of times aren't.
That's interesting. Can you share your insight of like, because you're around a lot of older individuals with your work, right?
Yeah.
Like 20 years in the Silicon Valley area. So you see a lot of these. Do you see a lot of like these friend groups, these cliques in these companies? Or I don't know. Like,
you know, that's
like,
a very interesting topic. It's what I would say in the field we call company culture. Mm-hmm. The company is the culture.
The company is the culture.
People that come out of Google reflect certain qualities. So when you're hiring, when an employer is looking, they look for people who come out of specific companies. People who come out of Google have...
So they respect some company cultures better than others.
It's like people who come out of these companies have these kinds of qualities.
I see.
People who come out of Apple are like this. Like, come out of Apple have great design. People who come out of Google, very good data processing, or very good sense of data. Come out of Facebook, very good for social media. Come out of the PayPal Mafia, one of the most famous friend groups.
PayPal Mafia?
That's what they're called.
What?
The founders and original people in PayPal, including Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, founder of Yelp, so many other great business people came out of the PayPal Mafia.
Very interesting. So PayPal was just like, these are the homies you want to beat around.
So, like, companies produce a certain type of people.
Mm-hmm. Can you give an example? Like, what kind of traits are we talking about here? Like, strong work ethic, like, friendliness, like, I don't know.
For example,
you fill in the blank.
A very hot company is Huawei, right?
Mm-hmm. They're the smartphone people, right?
They're the smartphone one, the controversial one.
Got it.
And the common work ethic for there is... Everyone gets paid a lot. Everyone is shareholders in the company, and everyone works their ass off.
So
they have great work ethic, and they're great at research, technological research.
Because they all know that what benefits them benefits the whole.
The employees own, I think, like a 90-something% share in the company.
That's really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I think 98.
So who owns the company?
The people.
The people. Wow.
Like the employees own the company.
But there's still a CEO, right?
There's rotating CEOs.
Really?
Yeah, there's rotating CEOs so that no one person has too much power. But the decisions are still made by like the right people.
I bet that increases the work all around happiness of the people that work there too.
Everyone, like, I don't even know how true it is, but it's the general assumption that everyone there works until like 1 a.m.
Damn. Holy crap. Oh my god. From the morning?
From like early 8 or 9 to like late.
Oh my god.
So like when you hire and when you look at a resume and someone came out of Huawei or someone came out of Apple,
these guys know what's up.
That's what you think about them.
Interesting.
Or someone came out of Apple, you feel like the kinds of thing they care about is what Apple cares about. Like that's the kind of people they will produce.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does Apple care about? Do they care about their customers?
They care so much about their customers. They care about perception, about class, about elegance, about style. Very focused on the design, the perception of the Apple user and the Apple lifestyle. It's key to their brand value and what they are.
How... You ever think about how weird it is that, like, if you don't have an iPhone in high school, you're kind of like... You're not completely ostracized, but you're just looked at a little differently.
But you are.
You get that green text. It's
yeah.
Like, who the
You're the one that joins in the group chat
loser?
And messes it all up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's the culture. It's the perception.
Huh. Very interesting.
You know, I used to wonder why people run ads of just their logos. I used to think they bought up such a big ad space. Why not put up a marketing campaign or a slogan?
Yeah.
Or an event or some useful information? Why did you just put your Apple logo up there?
Yep.
But it's a psychological effect.
It is. You're like,
when you just
this is the brand that everyone looks up to.
When you just see
right?
everywhere, there's pictures of photos taken by Apple phones. Just Apple logos.
Apple.
Everywhere.
Apple. It's a marketing campaign in itself, but it's very subtle.
It's just showing you that it's big and it's believable and it's around you and it's what other people care about and it's what you should care about.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, can you give a little more insight to your own, like, what you see around these companies? Because that's what we stemmed from, about, like, how they act a certain way. So, you don't have to give an example of, like, a specific company, but just, like, if you would like to.
What's the question?
Like, any company, like, just what you see, like, how these people interact. Because we're talking about friends, and it's like, do you have friends in the Silicon Valley area?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they like? What do they like to talk to? Are they like I don't know, like, did you ever?
They're cliques.
What kind of small talk is there in the Silicon Valley area?
So there are some companies that end up being merged, right? Or end up being acquired because they had similar points of views. For example, PayPal originally, it was X.com and PayPal. X.com was the company by Elon Musk, I believe, and PayPal was by Peter Thiel. And they merged and they worked well together. Other times, companies merge, but like if we used to both say sell pianos, and now our companies merged, your employees hate mine and mine hate yours.
Yes.
Like sometimes that happens, and there's always divide, and like the president and the vice president hate each other. A lot of times that happens as well.
Oh shoot, that's no good.
Yeah, because like we've always been competitors, so even though we're flying under the same banner doesn't mean I like you. Like I remember when you used to screw me over, I used to screw you over. Yeah.
So small talk. What are they talking about? How much Molly they can buy with their iPhone cameras and their Apple Pay, their drug dealers? What are they like? I'm just spitballing here. What do you see?
What these employees talk about?
Yeah, what do they see? What do they talk about? What's going on in the day in the life?
These employees are normal
like they're regular people.
Yeah, they're average normal people.
Average normal people.
They're just employees of big companies. A lot of people are employees of big companies.
This is true. I feel like everybody's an employee of big companies.
Yeah.
Which is good.
You know, wow. Walmart has, I think, millions employed. I think Walmart has like 3.2, 3.4 million
Something
people
stupid.
employed.
They're so big.
Yeah. This oil company in China has 1.7 million people.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What oil company?
Sinopec.
Sinopec. Huh.
Yeah.
How long do you think before the world goes... How much oil is there in the world? Like, obviously we haven't found it all. But, like...
I really could not tell you off the top of my head in trillions of barrels. But trillions of barrels.
Left. That we still got cooking.
Yes.
When's it gonna run out?
In a very, very, very long time.
Very, 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 like, what, 100 years? 200 years.
I think that's really hard to estimate because if you look 100 years ago, you cannot predict how much the different way we rely on fossil fuels, right? The different use cases, the percentage change on the pie chart. So if you look 100 years in the future, we don't know how we'll be relying on fossil fuels. We might rely on it way more because of some new demand, or way less because of some new demand.
Do you have an optimistic look for the future, or you think we're kind of fucked? Or do you think it's going to be like great, like flourishing?
I have a realist view of the future.
What is the realist view of the future?
It is what it's going to be. It's not good or bad. It just is. Like, why there shouldn't be, you shouldn't assign those kind of qualities, those kinds of adjectives to the future.
So might as well just not worry about it. Just worry about what's happening.
Don't worry about it. Worry about it, I would say. Like, plan for it, work for it.
But do we plan for a good one, or do we plan for a bad one?
You mean like society now, today?
Yes.
Oh, that's a different question. Sorry, I thought you meant like philosophically in general. Now, do we plan for a good future? For the world or for the U.S.?
Both. Let's see. What do you? Let's start with the U.S.
I think U.S. is looking good for still quite a while. It doesn't matter how the trade war ends or whether or not U.S. comes out on top or China comes out on top. U.S. isn't suddenly going to become a horrible bad place. The average person's going to be perfectly fine.
Perfectly average.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you think about if the U.S., since the U.S. did surpass England as the previous superpower, like, they're not all depressed and dying in England. Well, now Brexit, that's another thing. But, yeah, I think things are still looking good for the U.S. For the world, I think even more so.
What's the most important, in your mind, social change that needs to occur, like ASAP? Gotta get on that. Socially.
Internationally or domestically?
Domestically. So, in the U.S. culture. That's the culture you're most familiar with, correct?
I believe so, yes. Wow. That's a good question to think about. What social change should take place? I think if people valued other people's opinions more, if like people truly valued, like, not like we're capable of thinking, because everyone I think really is, but like thought of it as more important. Because a big value in America is individualism, right? Like being amazing, like working hard for yourself, good opportunities, equal opportunity, right? Which is great. But I think there's a balance between that and making sure that it's not that you aren't caring for other people, but that you're understanding other people, like, and how other people are and why they are what they are. I think that's very important.
I like that. That's a good answer. Really valuing our fellow neighbors, our fellow Americans. What the Ten Commandments said it best, right? Respect thy neighbor.
Yeah.
Don't sleep with thy neighbor's wife.
You should never give your neighbor anything, or you should give everything to your neighbor, but you should just think about what your neighbor's thinking and what he needs and what he might feel.
Man. Yeah, freaking Tyga's being ridiculous. All just banging Kylie Jenner left and right, not even thinking about what Travis Scott has to say about it. It's ridiculous. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I do, I think. I believe I remember that controversy, but I'm not usually on top of those things.
It's all good. It's just like a blip in the tabloids, Kylie and Jenner and Travis Scott broke up, and now Tyga's all banging her and whatever.
I thought they were like engaged. Were they ever engaged?
They were married? They were never married. They were just like they had a child together. And they were like
close enough.
They were dating,
So they had a child, but they never married?
They went on GQ together.
Close enough.
So you know it's real.
Okay.
And now everything's fake. What do you think? Yeah. But I'm not going to assume.
Do you have an answer for that? What do you think is the most necessary?
Pressing?
Yeah, most
I
pressing.
really like your answer of that.
That was a very good question. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about
that. So Just respect. Respect is very important. What I think I'm gonna try to answer that in a different way. So you were talking about more of like of understanding people's opinions and like sorry, say it again. It was like understanding their opinions and then what?
I think it's more about like respecting other people and understanding and feeling what other people are feeling.
Putting yourself in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I think that's really important.
Like valuing that.
I think that's
more.
really important at a political level. At the people that make these decisions, really, if they made the change to consciously be aware that other people are suffering, and that they maybe should, and that if other people are suffering, like there's like Mississippi, bro, and like New Mexico have like 20% poverty rate, and like if they're realizing that like these people,
America's poverty rate is 12%.
Are you fucking serious?
116 million people are close to poverty in America.
Wow. Well, that depends on what your poverty line is. You know, the poverty line here is like 110,000.
It's 10,000. Oh, in the U.S.
It's
like 11,000, I think, roughly, and I think it doesn't account for government aid, which means the number isn't that as bad as it seems,
right.
But
that's 11,000.
But it's still a big number.
Holy shit! Wow. Yeah, man. But I think just at a political level, if these people that are making the decisions really just dive into what the public is really feeling, and not just what is going to put money in their pockets, and not what is going to look good and get them reelected, if we can just stay away from that toxic mind state, then that is really what is going to benefit. Like,
I think there's a difference that needs to be clarified there. Mm-hmm. There's one, which is the capacity to understand what other people want and are feeling and are thinking, and the other one is the need or the urge to prioritize those over your own.
Yes.
Or to balance them, or to not be completely selfish. I think my earlier point is that people should value other people's opinions more, and like they should think about that more.
And like think about them in like contrast to their own, and think about like you can still be right in your own opinion, but there's think that if somebody else has this other opinion, that they are right in their own mind, that we're both right.
But I think a lot of leaders, they don't they don't solve some issues, or neglect, or don't try hard enough, or ignore whatever. Some issues aren't solved by leaders who are capable, is because in their opinion, whether correct or incorrect, it's better for them. But better for them, better for the overall population, whatever they're thinking. They could be wrong, right? But it's how they perceive. So I think you're right. Like, they should consider everyone's opinions and feelings more, and if they think that's the right decision, then that's the right decision for them. Not for everyone else, most likely, but for them.
Who is them?
That person. Like, yes. If the dictator Kim Jong-un thought it was best if no one wore pink ever again in North Korea, he should do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it may not be great for people who love pink in North Korea,
but you gotta respect his opinion.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I think with that, I'll take us out.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Good stuff, Cameron.
Good stuff, Paul. Any final words?
Thank you for listening.